When you see that sign, you know to tread slow. Don't you keep on till you see the light that let you go. Don't you see the red light? Can't you see the red light? Stop, don't go. Stop, don't go. Stop, don't go. Don't you see the red light?
Hello everyone, welcome to NAMM 2014 and thank you so much coming to the Universal Audio Press Conference. We are very excited to introduce to you the newest addition to the Apollo family, Apollo Twin. It's an analog studio on your desktop. So we want to tell you a little bit about it here. First of all, we want to introduce to you CEO and founder, Bill Putnam, Jr.
Well, thanks everyone for coming. We're so excited to show the Apollo Twin to you today and show you what we've been up to. But first I just want to take a moment and look back at where we've come from and a bit of what's made us. Universal Audio was started by my father in his recording studio in Chicago in the late 40s, early 50s, and it was born out of his passion for music and his love of technology. And fast forward to about 15 years ago, when I was starting Universal Audio, and at that time, and you probably all remember this, there was great factions between analog and digital, and the two sides just didn't get along. And I knew my dad wouldn't accept that. He loved technology, and he was always looking for technology to lead a way to help improve his process in the studio, and he absolutely wouldn't give up on digital. And so with that in mind, Universal Audio was reborn with the vision of just making digital sound every bit as good and have all the heart and soul and all the warmth that the classic analog recordings did. And along the way, we started by recreating classic analog products. We cut our teeth on tubes, transformers, and we learned what it took to make great sound. And from that, we went into digital, and we've made, I feel, some of the best signal processing plugins ever. We've modeled some of the greatest gear ever, and we're very proud of that. About 2 years ago, right here, almost 2 years ago to the day, we announced Apollo. And Apollo, at that time, was the single product that was a nexus of our analog and digital heritage. It brought it both together in one product we're very proud of. The next step today, the Apollo Twin, which brings a professional analog recording studio to your desktop, and that was our vision. And I also want to mention one more thing before I hand it over to Lev. We're also announcing today Unison technology, which is a hybrid analog-digital technology that has analog and digital working together closely to do things that we were never able to do before, emulate mic preamps very faithfully. And today we'll be talking about that. Lots more details. We're really excited. I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Lev Perry.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming by the booth. Welcome. I have the privilege of introducing Apollo Twin to you guys, telling you a little bit more about it. Of course, the booth has got a lot of activity going on. We've got the bar on the side to get a more hands-on demo, and actually at 1 o'clock, Fab DuPont will be on stage using the Apollo Twin to record an artist. So please come by and check that out. Bill mentioned it. You know, Apollo Twin really is the sound of analog on your desktop. You know, it's what Apollo brought to the rack mount, where you could actually get the sound of analog, but we really actually brought that now to a great desktop form factor. Really the cornerstone of the product is class-leading sound quality. And how we achieve that is by putting the exact same components that are in the rack mount devices in the rack over here in the desktop. And you really don't find that often. What you normally find when you see these little smaller interfaces is that, you know, they've been cheapened or, you know, made to work off of bus power or something like that. We didn't do that. We made something that was identical to what we have in the rack mount products, a totally professional interface, now available in a desktop interface. So that, you know, leads from everything from the mic preamps, the A to Ds, the digitally controlled analog monitoring outputs, all the things you find on Apollo that make it sound great and work great are in the Apollo Twin. Real-time UAD processing is another core technology that Apollo features, and what it really does is it gives you the ability to track through our plugins with no latency. So not only could you hear it in your headphones, you could actually print the sound of a Studer tape machine or an LA2A, an 1176. We're really well known for making plugins like what we have in the rack here. You can actually have those same processes running in real time on your interface, either while you're tracking or, again, just listening in headphones. The other thing that real-time UAD processing means is that it's a U82 device, and it means you can run our plugins inside of any DAW. So if you've got Logic, Pro Tools, Cubase, Ableton Live, you can actually run our plugins off of this box inside of your DAW while you're editing or mixing. So whether you're tracking, whether you're editing, whether you're mixing, you get access to the best plugins on the market, all running at no latency inside the box. High-speed Thunderbolt. Now, we were the first Thunderbolt audio interface manufacturer to come to market with Apollo, and we're really happy to announce that this is really the premier Thunderbolt desktop interface now with Apollo Twin. We've done some great work on our Thunderbolt drivers. It's true PCIe audio going on over Thunderbolt, as well as the UAD drivers. So really low latency, either inside your DAW, of course. None of it's ever going to be lower latency than running through our plugins inside of our console application. Sub 2 millisecond latency through plugins. It's really unheard of at this price. And so it's a really amazing thing when you actually get the demo or go see it on the side stage. You plug in a guitar, you bring up a plugin, no latency. And that's a really, really big deal. And Thunderbolt helps us do that even further. Bill mentioned it. I think one of the most exciting things for us, being audio geeks and being a company that is really known for pushing the envelope in terms of emulation, Unison mic preamp technology is the latest example of that. So Unison is all about mic preamp emulation, and it's not just doing it in just a plugin. It's actually both hardware and plugins that are going to be featuring Unison technology to come. So I want to talk a little bit more about what Unison is. Now, on the screen here you can see what's going to be the first Unison-enabled plugin. This is the 610B. It's a faithful recreation of the 610 hardware that we currently make as a rack mount device, but it's running as a plugin, and it's actually communicating with Apollo Twin in real time. And I don't have a live demo to show you, but basically, when you go and you turn the knob on your Apollo Twin, it'll actually turn the knob in the plugin, and that's because it is actually controlling the digitally controlled analog mic preamp that is built into Apollo Twin, and actually setting the correct gain staging as it would be on the actual hardware. The other thing that Apollo Twin and the Apollos both have is impedance switching. And this impedance switching actually changes the electronic impedance on the mic pre, and it interacts with your microphone. And so basically, for example, this plugin is an emulation of a 610. The 610 allowed you to set 500 ohms or allowed you to set 2K ohms. And when you set that in the plugin, it's actually doing that in the hardware and interacting with the microphone just like the real hardware would. So it's a really important thing. It's a little bit tweaky, a little bit technical, but what you end up with at the end of the day is a faithful recreation of all of these great mic preamps. So this is the first one that we're doing. There's going to be plenty more coming, more announcements about that later in the year. We're really happy to announce, though, that the 610 is included for free with Apollo Twin, and it will also start to become included with Apollo soon in Q1. The Apollo's been shipping for 2 years, and it's got digitally controlled analog mic pre. It's a really clean mic pre, but we've always had this idea in mind. So everything I talked about, from the plug-in control and even the impedance switching, is actually already built into Apollo. So anybody that has an Apollo is going to be able to use Unison mic preamp technology. I talked a little bit about the bi-directional communication. I really do implore you to check out a demo. Again, you can actually go through, click on the button, and actually control all of the gain stages right from the hardware. So it's not just clicking on a plugin, you actually get a tactile response. And that's really important because when you're actually tracking, you're going to be able to just listen, dial in the sound like you would with a real mic pre. Take you quickly through the hardware. The interface itself is very beautiful, we think. It's obviously focused around the main knob here. Now, if you're familiar with other interfaces that have a big central knob, you're used to clicking on it a bunch of times to go through channel 1, channel 2, monitor, and headphones, and you kind of cycle back around. Now, while that's okay, we thought, you're really going to be focusing more often on, say, one input. A lot of people who are going to buy this are just going to, plug in a guitar or plug in a microphone. So we wanted to make it easy to go between the input and the output really quickly. And so what we've done is we've added preamp and monitor focus buttons on each side. So basically you hit the preamp button, channel 1 lights up, the knob is controlling channel 1. You hit one button, it now focuses on the monitor. So you can hit one button to go between the major sides of the product, and you're not cycling around endlessly trying to find that one parameter. So really quick navigation. I also want to mention about the preamps. We've got fully featured mic preamps on Apollo Twin, just like what you find on Apollo. So that means that we didn't, leave out the high pass filter or leave out phase inversion, any of that kind of stuff. Full featured mic preamps. You can even stereo link the channels. So if you have a matched pair of microphones, put in the stereo link mode, one knob controls both microphones. Flipping it around to the back, there's actually a lot of I/O for such a small interface. Starting on the right-hand side, we've got mic and line inputs on combo jacks. And again, from the hardware, you can switch between mic and line. We've got dedicated monitor outputs, and these are digitally controlled analog monitoring outputs. This is also really important when you're listening. When we actually turn the gain up and down, it's being done in the analog domain. Most other interfaces that you see, especially all the desktop interfaces, use digital scaling. So that means that when you turn down the volume, you're actually losing bit resolution. That does not happen on Apollo or Apollo Twin, digitally controlled analog monitor outputs. In addition to that, we've got the line 3-4 outputs. Now the line 3-4 outputs are just great because you can connect it to any piece of outboard gear. Think about how this is going to be used. The monitor outs are going to be connected to monitors. That would leave you with no extra outputs to hook up to an external headphone amp or an external outboard piece of gear. Maybe you want to do some reamping. The line 3-4 is going to give you the ability to do that without having to unplug the monitors. To the right of that, we've got the Thunderbolt port. This connects to any Mac with Thunderbolt. So you want to connect it to the first Thunderbolt Mac that came out in 2011 or the brand new Mac Pro. You can connect this, no problem. The power section with a nice rocker switch, and last is the optical input, which is actually switchable between ADAT and optical SPDIF. So you can actually expand Apollo Twin up to 8 channels to get 10 channels into the box, which is really fantastic. Flipping it around to the front, really ergonomic, really easy to get to the guitar input on the front. So you just plug in, it's an auto switching jack, it just lets you hear your guitar without having to hit any buttons. And then on the right, we've got the headphone output. There's actually 6 dedicated outputs on Apollo Twin, with the monitor outs, the line 3-4 outs, and the headphone out has its own out as well. So you really can't have 3 mixes going at once. I talked about how the 610B is going to be coming free. We also have other plugins that ship. That's been called the Real-Time Analog Classics Bundle. It's a suite of 14 plugins, including emulations of LA2A, 1176, Pultec equalizers, the RealVerb Pro, and we've also included some free plugins from our friends at Softtube who have given us the Amp Room Essentials Bundle, which is a guitar amp and a bass amp. So it's pretty incredible when you think about, if you're a singer and you're looking for a great mic preamp, you can get a great mic preamp on the interface, and you can also use Unison technology to simulate an amazing sounding tube preamp. If you're a guitarist, you can plug right to the front, use the Amp Room plugins, or if you're a bassist, same thing with the bass amp room. So an incredible plugin bundle, up to 14 plugins, ships with Apollo Twin standard. I talked about the Thunderbolt drivers. We've done brand new Thunderbolt PCIe audio drivers for Apollo Twin. They'll be coming for free to the Apollo interfaces very soon. Compatibility for Apollo Twin, pretty standard. Works on Mavericks, works on Mountain Lion, works with a DAW that supports AX64, AU, RTAS, or VST. So that does include Pro Tools 11 for those of you who are curious. And again, it works on any Macintosh with Thunderbolt 1 or Thunderbolt 2. The product itself is actually available in 2 versions. They look identical, but under the hood, one has more DSP than the other. So we have a solo version, which has 1 DSP, that's $699 US Street. The Duo version with 2 DSPs, $899 US Street price. So incredible price, bringing what is in Apollo to your desktop. But again, both products have the exact same I/O. We're really happy to announce that it's actually shipping today. We've actually been shipping for the last month. I don't know how we kept it a secret this long, but we have. You can actually order these online today, and our major dealers and distributors have them now. So that's my part. I'm actually going to hand it back to Amanda, who's going to be able to tell you a little bit more about how to find more information on Apollo Twin. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, Lev. That's awesome.